How billionaires spend $1 million in one day. What if you had to spend $1 million before the day ended? Not invest it, not save it, not give it away. You simply have to spend every dollar before midnight. For most people, $1 million could change everything. A house, a business, a better future. But for a billionaire, that amount can disappear surprisingly fast. A private flight in the morning, a supercar waiting on the runway, a yacht by the afternoon, a massive mansion, a rare watch. And a few hours later, $1 million could already be gone. But here's the interesting part. Billionaires don't necessarily spend money the way most people imagine. So let's follow what $1 million day could actually look like. The day starts high above the city. A modern penthouse surrounded by glass windows and an incredible view of the skyline. There is no traffic, no crowded train, and no airport line, because outside the next part of the day is already waiting, a private jet. For a normal traveler, getting from one city to another can take hours before the plane even leaves the ground. There is traffic on the way to the airport, check-in, security, waiting at the gate, then the flight itself. Private aviation changes that experience completely. You arrive at a private terminal, walk onto the aircraft, and leave according to your own schedule. Inside, the environment looks more like a private office than a normal airplane. Large seats, a workspace, food prepared for the passengers, and enough privacy to work, relax, or hold a meeting while flying thousands of feet above the ground. But the interesting thing about a private jet is not only its price. The aircraft itself can cost tens of millions of dollars. And then there are pilots, crew, fuel, maintenance, insurance, and hangar costs. So you're not just paying for a flight, you're paying for control over your time. Now the jet lands. And instead of a normal car waiting outside, there is something much more interesting, a supercar. For most people, a car is simply transportation. It gets you to work, it takes you home, it takes you from one place to another. But at the highest level of luxury, the purpose can be very different. A limited production supercar can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some rare models can cost millions. And the price isn't always about speed. It's about engineering, design, craftsmanship, and scarcity. If only a small number of cars are produced, owning one becomes something very few people can experience. And that idea appears again and again in the world of extreme wealth. The less available something is, the more valuable it can become. By the afternoon, the location changes completely. Now we're at the coast, and waiting offshore is a super yacht. From the outside, it already looks enormous, but inside it can be closer to a luxury hotel than a traditional boat. Bedrooms, dining rooms, lounges, entertainment areas, a kitchen, a gym, sometimes even a swimming pool. The entire property can move from one destination to another, and that's one of the biggest attractions. You don't have to fly to a resort. The resort comes with you. But owning a yacht is expensive long after the purchase. Fuel, maintenance, crew, docking, insurance, food, and security can cost millions over time. So again, the real luxury isn't simply the object, it's the freedom that comes with it. You decide where you're going, when you're leaving, and who gets access to your world. And that's where the day starts becoming much more expensive. After the yacht, imagine arriving at another private location, a massive mansion. At this level, a house can become much more than a place to sleep. There may be a huge garden, an infinity pool, a private gym, a home theater, multiple bedrooms, guest houses, large garages, security systems, and enough space that you can spend an entire day there without ever needing to leave. But one of the biggest luxuries is something you can't easily put a price on. Privacy, a private entrance, a quiet location, security around the property, no crowds, no strangers, no one telling you where you can go. For someone constantly surrounded by people, that kind of privacy can become extremely valuable. And then there's another form of luxury that takes up almost no space at all. A watch, a high-end mechanical watch can fit inside your hand, yet some rare pieces can be worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. A cheap watch can tell you the time just as accurately. So why would anyone spend that much? Because the value isn't only in telling time, it's in the craftsmanship, the history, the materials, and especially the rarity. Imagine a watch that has only been produced a few times. Several wealthy collectors want the same piece. It goes to auction. One person makes an offer, another person goes higher, then another. And suddenly a watch small enough to fit inside your hand is worth millions. This is how luxury markets often work. You're not always paying for something to perform a basic function better. You're paying for something that very few other people can have. Now let's bring everything together. How could someone actually spend $1 million in a single day? Start with private aviation, then add luxury transportation, a high-end hotel or private residence, fine dining, a yacht charter, security, personal staff, exclusive events, and perhaps a rare collectible or luxury purchase. Each expense may look manageable on its own, but together they can become enormous. $10,000 here, $50,000 there, $100,000 somewhere else, and suddenly hundreds of thousands of dollars have disappeared. Add one major purchase and reaching $1 million isn't difficult at all. But there's something important to understand. Billionaires don't necessarily spend $1 million every day. Many wealthy people keep most of their money invested in businesses, stocks, real estate, and other assets. Their lifestyle is only one part of their overall wealth. So the real question isn't whether a billionaire can spend $1 million. They obviously can. The more interesting question is why. And when you look at all these purchases together, a pattern starts to appear. The private jet saves time, the chauffeur saves time, the personal assistant saves time, the private terminal saves time, the second home saves time. The yacht gives freedom and privacy, the mansion creates a controlled environment, and the rare watch represents exclusivity. So maybe extreme wealth isn't really about owning the most expensive things in the world. Maybe it's about removing the small problems that consume your time every day, because money can buy convenience, it can buy privacy, it can buy comfort, it can give you access to experiences most people will never have. That's why, at the highest level of wealth, the most valuable thing may not be the private jet, the mansion, or the yacht. It may simply be the freedom to decide how you spend your time. So if you suddenly had $1 million to spend before midnight, what would you buy? A supercar, a private jet, a mansion, a yacht? Or would you spend it on something completely different? Because maybe the real luxury isn't having more things. Maybe it's having the freedom to choose what matters to you. This is Nexora World. And if you want to explore the money, lifestyles, technology, and stories behind the world's most fascinating people, stay curious.